It is 4 p.m. Friday.
You couldn't wait to say that, no?
I just had to
Buong
agree.
week, you've been waiting to say that, Friday.
We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Friday, May 16. The proclamation for winning senators in the 2025 elections is set for tomorrow, Saturday, May 17. It will be held at the tent city of the Manila Hotel. Re-election is Senator Bongo topped the so-called Magic 12, followed by Bam Aquino. Senator Bato de la Rosa, Erwin Tulfo, Kiko Pangilinan ranked 3rd to 5th respectively. Rodante Marcoleta, Ping Lacson, Tito Soto, Pia Cayetano, Camille Villar, Lito Lapid, and Naimi Marcos round up the Magic 12. The Justice Department says it may tap Interpol to enforce the arrest of former presidential spokesman Harry Roque, who is currently abroad. The Satray Pampanga court issued an arrest warrant against him over a Pogo-related qualified human trafficking case. Roque, now seeking political asylum in the Netherlands, vows to fight the cases filed against him, claiming political persecution.
The preliminary probe into Vice President Sara Duterte's sedition and grave threat complaints is continuing today. The charges filed by the NBI are over her alleged kill plot against President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. President Marcos says the impeachment case against Duterte is also now in the hands of the Senate and prosecutors, and Malacanang's advice, let the legal process take its course.
And the Transportation Department has terminated its contract with the consortium building the LRT and MRT common station due to excessive delays. The DOTR says BF Corporation and Foresight Development failed to deliver on the long-delayed project linking LRT-1, MRT-3, and MRT-7. Secretary Vince Dizon expresses optimism that the construction will resume quickly under the new Government Procurement Act or the Public-Private Partnership Code. And joining us today, Philippine Star Editor-in-Chief Ami Pamintuan. There you go.
Hi, happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Hi, Ami.
Para kang Golden Buddha ngayon.
I don't know how to react to that, honestly.
Pwede na, no? Pwede na. Pwede na fashion reviewer.
Pwede na ba? Since wala si Ronald.
Pwede na.
Kasi our resident political pundit and the resident fashion critic is somewhere in Europe right now. Haunting
17 hours daw yung layover niya sa Dubai. Biro mo yun?
Yeah.
Nagtitipid sila. Bakit ganun gawain ko eh?
Oo nga, nagtitipid nga daw siya. Nagtitipid.
Ay, malaking bagay kasi ganun eh. Pag mahaba ang layover mo. Ako dati 30 plus hours ako sa Dubai. Tulog ako sa sahig tsaka dun sa sofa.
Pwede ka naman lumabas. Filipinos get visas.
But you have to buy the visa.
It's not that expensive.
Bok, nagtitipid kami nun eh.
Okay.
we were going to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Actually, yung sa ibang airlines like Emirates, libre na yung visa. If you fly through Emirates, they will process the visa for you. So yun din yung sinasabi ko kay Ronald, but hindi ka nagpa-hotel sa Emirates? Kasi part of the package yun eh. Ewan ko lang kung
yes.
Maybe that's more recent. This was 2001 and 2003.
Matagal na. Yung more recently, yung policy nila is above 8 hours yung layover mo, you're entitled to a hotel.
Kasi super mura pag malaki na layover mo. So inabot namin ng 3 shift ng mga Pilipino sa Dubai, sa airport ng Dubai, yung di ba duty free yun. Puro mga Pinoy yun.
That's what we were saying kahapon kasi galing din ako. I actually took the same route as Ronald. So yung layover was in Dubai, 17 hours din yung layover. Masaya mag-layover doon because it's the airport, the facilities are really nice, malinis. Lahat ng staff, or majority of the staff were Filipino, so they were all very warm, very nice, masarap kausap, right?
Masaya, pero hindi na masaya pag parang Ikaw na naman. Sir, nung nag-out ako sa shift ko, ikaw, nandito ka pa rin. Nakita na naman tayo.
Okay, we have to, sorry, diretso na tayo sa hard news kasi we don't want to keep our first guest waiting. First guest this afternoon, we have Aliansa ng para sa Bagong Pilipinas campaign manager na Votas Congressman Toby Tiangco. Good afternoon, Congressman Tiangco.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Congressman. Congratulations, ha?
Long time no see.
Nakabawi na ba kayo tulog?
Hindi pa masyado. Nagbabawi pa lang. Dami pang trabahong yun.
Well, it's double-sided, no? It's both congratulations for winning your re-election.
Yeah, personal congratulations.
And also commiserations sa outcome ng Aliansa slate. So, let's start with that. Ano po yung assessment nyo? What happened? What went wrong there? And what you think you could have done differently?
Okay, number one, syempre, this is the reason why I've been avoiding interviews during the campaign. Now, if you notice, I never granted interviews during the campaign because there are questions that I wouldn't have been able to answer. May mga tanong na talagang hindi ko kayang sagutin noong kampanya dahil makakasama doon sa aming kampanya. Isa sa mga yon is yung talagang nagsimula yung problema namin nung nag-file ng impeachment case ang House of Representatives against kay VP Sara. Because yung October surveys namin, 9 na alyansa ang pasok sa buong Mindanao. Pagdating nung survey namin after the impeachment, before the incident of bringing the former president to Hague, 4 na lang. So just because of the impeachment, 4 na lang yung natirang alyansa candidates doon sa Mindanao. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, early on, binawasan ko yung rallies doon sa Mindanao. Kasi wala rin mangyayari sa amin doon eh. Pupunta kami doon, hindi rin naman namin makukumbinsi yung mga tao. Why would we spend time there, no? And I'm saying this because yung impeachment was self-inflicted. Ibig sabihin, yun total control kami. Pero tinuloy namin, for what? For nothing. Diba? Nag-file ng impeachment complaint February 5. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nasisimulan. Pinigilan ko sila noon. Ayaw nilang makinig. Sinabi ko, maapektuhan yung mga senador natin. Ayaw nilang makinig. So, yan ang nangyari.
Sir, clarify ko lang, when you say pinigilan mo sila, sino pa yung tinutukoy natin?
Sinabi ko doon sa House na anong stand ko doon sa impeachment. Una, sinabi ko, bakit nyo ginagawa yan? Last day of session. Okay? Last day of session. June 2 pa magpaadidinggin ng Senado yan. Magiging issue yan sa election. So, kaya hindi ako pumirma. Tinuloy nila. O yan ang naging epekto. Tapos nasundan pa nung sa Hague, no? So, anong nangyari doon sa isip ng tao? Ang nangyari sa isip ng tao, masyado nating pinupunterya, di ba? Masyado nilang pinupunterya. Ibig sabihin, una, yung anak, in-impeach mo, tapos yung tatay na padala sa Hague. Pero yung pagpadala sa Hague, there are circumstances external to us, beyond our control. Di ba? So, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na yan ang reason. Ang talagang pinagsimulan yan is yung impeachment na pinipigilan ko silang gawin.
Pero sa pinigilan po, sinubukan po niyong pigilan yung liderato ng Kongreso. Ano po ang sagot sa inyo kung bakit nila itutuloy o tinuloy nung panahon yun?
Okay. Alam na nila yung stand ko tungkol dyan. Kaya nung huling meeting, hindi na nila ako sinama dyan sa usapan nung impeachment. So anong ginawa ko? Hindi ako pumirma. Pero alam nila yung stand ko dyan. Ever since before, I've been very clear about my stand on the impeachment. No?
Congressman, merong story ngayon from the House eh. Sabi nila, I think it's in reaction to what you said, no? Sabi nila 86% daw of the congressmen who signed the impeachment complaint nanalo naman. Ano pong masasabi niyo ron?
Okay, iba ang national, iba ang local politics, iba ang national politics, no? Ang local politics is based on the performance ng iyong representante, no? Ang national politics is based on perception. Okay? So ibang-iba 'yon. Okay? At yung sinasabi, okay, bakit ba nila kailangan gawin? Hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit nila kailangan gawin. Ngayon ko lang natuklasan na yung aking duda nung unang-una pa lang kung bakit nila pinipilit yung impeachment na yan ay tama. And it was because of the conditional release.
Sir, could you continue that? Conditional release ng...
Di ba, okay. Di ba saan ba nagsimula yung problema ng administrasyon? Nagsimula yung problema ng administrasyon nung hindi nila sinunod yung budget ng Pangulo. Ang nangyari, hindi nila sinunod, ang dami-dami lang ginalaw. Later on, nagpasa sila ng budget na ayaw ng Pangulo. Okay? Ngayon, because of lack of time, hindi na veto lahat ng mga hindi dapat na items na handon. Di ba? So, ang ginawa ng executive is, di ba nagkaroon ng sinabi conditional release? We will review
that one.
All the line items. So, ano nangyari? May na-hold. Okay? So, noong pinipilit nila ilabas yung mga projects na for conditional release, iniisip-isip ko na noon na ito yung reason para doon sa impeachment para mapilitan yung executive branch na ilabas yung budget. So, hindi ko mapatunayan nun. Pero for the record, nag-text ako na yan ang duda ko kung bakit nila ginagawa. Okay?
Sir, in which case, sir, if I may, in which case, are you saying therefore na Malacanang was not convinced of the need to pursue the impeachment at that time?
Until now, I am 100% sure na hindi kumbinsido ang presidente. Bakit? On the day of the signing of the impeachment, I was with the president for a meeting regarding the alyansa. Magmula nung simula na nagpipirma hanggang matapos, hindi namin pinag-usapan. Hindi niya sinabi, bakit ka hindi pumirma? Pagkatapos, lumabas yung resulta, hindi man niya lang sinabi sa akin, oh, Toby, naka 215 tayo. We never talked about it.
Yeah.
Isang beses na pag-usapan namin, I think 2-3 weeks after, siya yung nagtanong, ano ba yung nangyari? Bakit nila pinilit yung impeachment? Wala bang kalaban yung mga yan? Sabi ko, sir, hindi nga ako sinama, so hindi ko masasagot bakit nila tinuloy. Okay? Next, okay, fast forward. So, naka-hold pa rin yung mga conditional release. And up to now, I think there's mga 90 billion pa na naka-hold kasi talagang hinihigpitan yon. So, pinipressure nila ako na i-release yung mga infrastructure projects for conditional release. Sabi ko, hindi pa pwedeng i-release yan. Kasi nga, tinitignan pa kung yan ay mga legit projects.
Yeah. But sir...
Ang sabi nila sa akin, nung dalawang pumausap sa akin na pinapunta ni Speaker, pero naipangako namin yan, paano yung mga pumirma ng impeachment. So, nag-report ako kay Presidente, sir, kung ako, checkin muna natin kung legit yan. Pero pinipressure ako, ang sinasabi nila, yan daw, ipinangako nila. Ang sagot sa akin ni Presidente, wala tayong pinangakong ganyan. So, sabi ko sa kanya, sir, ito na yung sinasabi ko. Ginawa ng impeachment so that they can pressure the executive na pinapirma namin itong mga to para ma-release yung mga conditional release. So, ibig sabihin, binenta nila yung political capital ng Pangulo.
And yet, the first person to sign the impeachment complaint was Congressman Sandro Marcos, which is why it was widely seen, sir, na meron tong blessing ng Malacanang. How do we reconcile these two things?
Okay, I had a private conversation with Congressman Marcos, but let's leave him out of this kasi hindi naman siya yung talagang pasimuno nito ang tingin ko naipit rin siya dito
Sir, could you at least qualify that? What do you mean by
Could you please, pakiulit lang.
Hindi, okay. I had a private conversation with him regarding this. Let's leave him out of this kasi hindi naman siya yung nagpasimuno ng impeachment. Sa tingin ko, na
ang sabi sa
dito.
You're saying
so you're refuting kasi yung sabi ng iba, part of the reason daw na hindi lumabas nga, hindi nagkaroon ng sweep yung alyansa, hindi daw na-roll out yung administration machinery.
No.
One of the reasons, Sean.
Okay, paano ma-roll out yung administration machinery when the candidates themselves were fighting for survival? Di ba? There is a negative sentiment. Ikaw tumatakbo ka. Will you take the risk? No candidate will take the risk. He will think first of his own survival. Di ba? How can you, lalo na kung emosyon ang nananaig sa tao. Kasi emosyon, hindi mo pwedeng paliwanagan yung emosyon. So kung ikaw kumakandidato, kahit sabihin mo na mahina yung kalaban niya, will you take the risk?
Yung impact, isa pa sir na tinuturo nila, yung impact nung controversy over the national budget na kasi ang pinaka-direct hit talaga doon yung House eh. You think may tama yon yung observation na yon na may impact nga siya doon sa nangyari sa alyansa?
May impact yung okay. Yung doon sa national budget, ang sinasabi ko, ang problema ko doon sa national budget is yun na naman, wala namang kasalanan ng presidente doon later on, nung napunta sa kanya, pati siya nagkaroon ng hit yung political capital niya, di ba? At syempre, pag nagkaroon yung hit ng political capital ng presidente, pati yung endorsing power ng presidente, magkakaroon ng hit, di ba? That's the natural consequence. Pero, tignan natin yung Mindanao kasi. Yung Mindanao, talagang nagkaroon sila ng unifying factor doon, magmula nung final yung
Pero sir, it sounds almost as if the president is so passive. Kasi typically, the president would have a supermajority in Congress, not the other way around, na a supermajority has a president in Malacanang. Di ba? Usually ganun yung dynamics yun eh. So it almost sounds as if the president is not on top of things and that he's just being pulled and pushed around.
No, the president is on top of things. But alam mo naman yung presidente natin, napakabait, pasensyoso. Some people take advantage of his goodness and kindness. You know, he's a very gentle creature, di ba?
So when you say that they used up his political capital...
It's his gentleness, his kindness.
So sir, when you say they used up the president's political capital, the natural next question there is, why didn't he do something about it? Right? Why didn't the people around him do something about it if they can already see this is going on?
It is a supermajority to begin with anyway.
Yan ang ginawa niya, di ba? Hanggang ngayon, hindi naman pa rin i-release yung insertion, yung conditional, yung congressional insertion eh. Okay, out of the 209 billion na inserted by the House, ang nare-release lang is over 100 million. So may 90 billion pa doon na nakahold. So he exercised his executive power. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin. Hindi lang namin ito sinasabi, di ba? People think na pinalusot lang niya yung budget. He did not. So ngayon ko lang ito sinasabi kasi tapos na yung eleksyon, hindi ko naman po pwede ito sabihin na nandun pa yung eleksyon. No? But I have to do this because I have to protect the president. No, he's being blamed for things na hindi naman niya kasalanan. He's paying for things na hindi naman niya ginawa.
But on the downside, sir, you understand that this will also make him look like he does not have control over the whole system, the whole machinery.
No, that's why I'm speaking out now because no one is speaking out. You know, we were put in a situation, nalagay kami sa sitwasyon na eleksyon eh, di ba? Hindi naman po pwedeng palabasin. Paano ko naman, kayo na lang magsabi sa akin, nagpa-interview ako sa inyo during election period. Pwede ko ba sabihin itong mga bagay na to? Masabihin na hindi release yung mga pondo para lang patunayan na talagang ano. Siyempre, there are things that we have to finish first. Pagtapos mga bagay na yan, now I have to protect him. I have to say that hindi niya talaga pinayagan. So now it's very clear he was unhappy about the budget and he is doing something about it. Hindi totoo yung sinasabing pinalusot niya. Hindi niya pinalusot.
Sir, during that time, were you in touch with Speaker Martin Romualdez nung panong ito'y nagkakagulo at nag-uunahan kung sinong prepresyo kanino? I mean, well, let me boil it down to this. Is the Speaker the one who was in charge of all of this?
And who is the leader of the House, di ba? Yung mga Tsaka yung nakapaligid sa kanya kasi sila yung kumakausap sa akin, sinasabi sa akin, kailangan to release, kailangan ganito, ganyan. Eh, hindi naman ako pumapayag.
How would you...
Congressman, nabanggit nyo na rin lang yung leadership eh. Hindi lang si President Marcos ang tinamaan dito. Of course, you are in the line of fire dahil kayo yung naging campaign manager ng Alyansa. And in fact, you were being rumored to be the next speaker, actually. Ano po yung ano na po nangyari? Magkakaroon po ba tayo ng leadership change?
I think that's where all the problems started, no? Early November, noong nagkakagulo-gulo sa budget, ang pinagdududahan nila ako, no? There was one time,
Yes.
kausapin ni Speaker Romualdez, sinabi ko sa kanya at that time, Speaker, wala akong kinausap na congressman, walang kumausap na congressman sa akin, no? And he had so many theories, no? Meron pa siyang kung ano-anong theory na yung iba doon, wala akong telephone number ng mga taong yon, no? And then, nung nangyari ito ngayon, ako na naman yung pinagdududahan nila, di ba? Na dito. Kaya kung titignan mo naman, alam ko naman sino yung mga nagpo-post sa social media, mga naman nila yon, di ba? Kilala ko yung iba pa nga, doon ko pa nga nakilala sa bahay niya eh. So paano ko naman hindi malalaman na hindi ako yung pinupunteriya nila dito, di ba? So, okay. Ako naman, I'm very transparent. Kung sinasabi ko noon na at that time, in November, walang kumakausap sa akin. Ngayon, sasabihin ko naman, may mga kumakausap sa akin. Wala akong kinakausap, may mga kumakausap sa akin na sinasabi na kung dapat magkaroon ng change of leadership para mabalik yung imahe ng House. Naman sinasabi ko na ako, kung ano yung gusto ng mayorya, yun naman ang susundin ko, di ba? I mean, I don't fight, I have to tell everyone, I don't fight my battles patalikod. I always fight frontally. You've known me.
In the aftermath of all this, Congressman, now that the elections are over, Alyansa did not...
I'm saying, I would do everything to protect the president because the accusations against him are so unfair, di ba? Ibig sabihin, the budget, political capital niya yung naapektuhan doon. For something, in the first place, ayaw niya.
Yeah.
So, ilang beses na-postpone yung signing ng budget. Di ba? Hanggang naubusan lang ng oras, hindi nahanap lahat ng items, may konting na veto, pero hinabol pa rin sa huli. Ngayon, naka-hold. For the record, naka-hold.
Oo.
Congressman, linawin ko lang ha. Congressman, linawin ko lang. You said the people, nung November, walang kumakausap sa inyo. Kahit may mga chismis na meron nga. Pero ngayon, may mga lumalapit na sa inyo about the speakership. You are being asked kasi sa Senate, meron na rin ganun So, sinasabi niyo yun ha?
I'm being asked
to be the speaker by some congressmen.
They're saying that if I will run ng meeting, show of support, yung iba tumataw sa akin, pumunta kami doon. Sinasabi ko sa inyo, pumunta kayo doon. Kasi hindi naman ako nagdedeklara, mapag-iinitan kayo. Okay?
Congressman, may nagpatawag ng meeting kanina?
May meeting kay Speaker doon sa Shangri-La. Show of support.
Kanina?
Okay,
for the speaker. For the speaker.
For the speaker.
Iba, tumatawag, what will we do? Will we go? We want to be on your side. Sabi ko, nako, hindi pa ako nagdedeklara. Pumunta kayo doon, baka kayo naman mapag-initan. No? Ayoko naman kayong mata. Diba? Tsaka sabi ko, I'm not actively seeking for it. But I just want to help the president. Diba?
Okay.
So, yun naman sinasabi ko sa kanila. No? At ako mismo nagsasabi, kung papapirmahin kayo, pumirma kayo kasi mapag-iinitan naman kayo pag hindi naman kayo pumirma.
Pero Congressman, it's significant that they are asking you. Di ba? Na kung pupunta ba sila doon, pipirma ba sila doon, it's significant that they are asking you.
Hindi naman sila nagsasabing pipirma ba sila. Sinasabi nila anong gagawin. Ako na nagsasabi.
Yun na nga.
Yung iba,
diba?
yung iba nga sinasabi niya na ayaw namin pumirma. Sabi ko, wag na yung gagawin niya. Ayoko madamay kayo doon sa akin, di ba? Kasi hindi naman style ko ng politics yung ganyan. Kung ako yung pag-iinitan, di ako yung pag-iinitan, di ba? Bakit naman kayo madadamay?
Right. Sir, Sir, okay. So in the aftermath of all of this, Congressman, how would you describe the relationship between President Marcos and the House Speaker? Ano yung dynamic nila ngayon? And you know, it sounds like the speaker is going ahead and doing his own thing. What do you think his end goal is?
No, I don't want to comment on their relationship because whatever their personal or professional relationship is, hindi naman ako yung nakabantay. Ano bang relasyon nitong dalawa, di ba? So, hindi naman ako ganun. So, I wouldn't want to comment on that.
So your advice to the congressman about that meeting with the speaker is prudent naman eh. I mean, sige, para walang sisiyan at walang sumabit. Pero sir, and you also said you're not actively seeking the speakership.
Yeah.
But are you interested to begin with? And if given the fact that some people are asking you to go ahead and be the speaker or throw your hat in the ring, will you throw your hat in the ring?
Okay, isa lang sagot ko dyan. I will do whatever is best for the president. If it's best for the president that Martin Romualdez remains speaker, I will support what he thinks is best for him. But
So, Congressman, you are open to it.
No,
Yan, accurate ba yan?
if he thinks I can help him more, I will accept it. Di ba? As long as my colleagues agree, di ba? Because hindi naman di ba? I mean, ang numero uno dito is my colleagues, di ba? Okay, number one, kung gusto ng karamihan ng colleagues ko at yan ay makakabuti sa presidente, siyempre tatanggapin ko. Pero ang number one dito, ano ba yung desisyon ng mayorya ng aking kasama sa Kongreso? Kasi tsaka pa lang tayo makakapunta sa presidente pag meron tayong mayorya ng kasama. Di ba? Pag meron tayong mayorya ng kasama, sabi natin sa presidente, ito po yung gusto ng karamihan ng ating kasama. Ito po, kung okay sa inyo, itutuloy natin, di ba? Ganun lang naman.
Sir, pahabol na lang po kasi you said kanina na pagkatapos ng impeachment, in your surveys, 4 na lang yung pumapasok na senatorial best ng alyansa. So mukhang mas accurate yung survey ninyo kasi yung survey na nakuha namin.
Oo nga.
Hindi, sinasabi ko sa Mindanao, sa Mindanao to, sa Mindanao. I'm talking about Mindanao.
Okay.
Sa Mindanao.
Okay.
4 na lang yung pumapasok nationwide. Kung sinasabi ko, before the impeachment, siyam yung alyansa candidates na napasok sa Mindanao.
Yes, sir.
After impeachment, wala pa yung pagpadala sa Hague, 4 na lang ang natitira na alyansa candidates na pasok sa Mindanao, which is 24% of the voting population.
Yes, sir.
So nagkaroon na ng unifying factor. Yan ang sinasabi ko.
Mukha naman they voted straight. Sorry, we have to let you go because I understand you have another interview, no, Congressman? Pero
Yes.
sana we can have you back again.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot more to talk
interesting
about.
discussion.
Oo, there's a lot more to talk about. And
Pwede
sana-
isa na lang.
Oh, sige,
Yeah,
30 seconds.
Congressman, have you talked to President Marcos about this na feeling niya hindi siya na-proteksyonan? Have you talked to him about this, itong mga nangyayari ngayon?
Saan? Hindi siya na-protection ng saan?
Sa ganyan nga, yung controversy over, he said he took a political hit eh.
Yeah, his
Meron
capital.
ba, anong sentimiento ni Presidente dyan sa nangyari?
Hindi. Sa kanya naman, it's more than the political hit. For him, hindi talaga maayos yung budget. Okay? Kaya, ang mahalaga, yung sinasabing wala siyang ginawa dahil pinabayaan niya yung budget at hindi niya binito. Ngayon, merong naka for conditional release. Kalahati pa lang nung na-insert yung na-release. No? Number 2, yung sinasabing impeachment, hindi niya talaga gusto yan. At number 3, napaliwanag ko naman sa kanya kung ano yung dahilan doon sa impeachment. No?
And again,
Isa na lang, would he be open to a leadership change in the House? Sa tingin ninyo?
Actually, yun yung last
Si
question
President
ko.
Marcos.
Oo. And the last question to add to that, sir, is between the two of you, kayong dalawa, nakapag-usap na po ba kayo about the possibility of you being the next speaker?
Who? Me and
The
Speaker
president.
Romualdez?
Yes.
No, the
No,
president.
No.
The president.
Marcos.
Alam mo, I've been loyal to all my bosses. I don't preempt my bosses. I don't put them on the spot. Diba? I just want to remind everyone of my political history. I was with ERAP. ERAP was removed from office. I never joined GMA until she left office. Okay? I was for ERAP in 2010. ERAP did not win. I did not join Pinoy when he was in office. I was
Yes.
Pinay in 2016. Binay did not win. I did not transfer to Duterte
Okay.
when Duterte won. So I remain loyal to my bosses. I don't compromise them. I don't put them in a difficult situation. I don't preempt them. I do what is good for them, and I will stay loyal to them always.
Okay. On that note, maraming salamat for your time and your honesty
Thank you,
as
sir.
a campaign manager. And
I've always been honest. That's why I couldn't appear in your show during the elections kasi hindi naman
Hindi.
ako pwede magmaling, di ba?
Hindi,
So
sir. Na-interview na kita during the campaign. Well, slightly before sa The Big
yeah,
Story.
slightly before you interviewed me,
Oo.
but that was about the pre-campaign yata.
Hindi,
But when
hindi.
things
I asked
were
you-
going rough,
No, I
yeah,
asked
could
I asked you
yeah.
I asked you about why you didn't sign the impeachment complaint. Sabi mo at that time, you didn't have time kasi minadali nila. So,
That was
now-
also one reason, di ba?
Yeah.
How can you read, gaano kakapal na dokumento?
Oo.
Hindi ko naman nabasa di ba? Pero may duda na ako. You asked me at the time why I did not sign.
Yes.
You did not ask me at the time why I thought they pushed through with it. So now I'm telling you why I think they pushed through with it.
Okay, and yun nga, we appreciate your candidness. Thank you so much for your time. Nabotas
Yeah, that's why
Congressman.
if I cannot answer your questions, I would rather not appear than lie.
Nabotas
Salamat po, Congressman.
Tobicaco.
Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Yeah.
Sige, salamat.
Thank you.
Salamat.
Okay, you are watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Edling Gao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star. And that's all we have
And
today.
in spirit, we have Ronald Llamas.
In spirit. Let's bring in our second guest today. We've got former Senator and soon ML Party List Representative, Congresswoman Laila De Lima. Attorney De Lima, welcome back to Storycon. Thanks for making time for us.
And congratulations po.
Salamat.
Hi,
Salamat,
Attorney.
Ed. Good afternoon.
Congratulations
Ami
po.
and Regina.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well, ma'am, hindi kami abogado, so we're trying to get clarity here as to what exactly that Court of Appeals decision means. I'm reading, for example, the particular in the last part. The order of case 17-165 is declared null and void. Ito po yung kay Judge Alcantara. We remand the case to the RTC Branch 204 Muntinlupa for it to decide the case in accordance with the rules stated in this decision. Sa amin po, what does this mean? Will this mean a retrial or will this mean simply that there will be a rewriting by the same judge, is it the same judge, Judge Alcantara, of the same case?
That's what makes that whole decision of the Court of Appeals perplexing. Maski kami, medyo confused din kami. Ang malinaw sa amin is that hindi naman reverse yung acquittal. Hindi sinasabi na mali, hindi tama yung acquittal. If you read the whole text of the decision, lahat ito ay nakatugon doon sa public respondent, meaning Judge Alcantara. Yung the way he wrote, he wrote the decision na hindi daw masyadong klaro.
Yes, ma'am.
Hindi daw masyadong nailagay mismo yung mga the law and the facts on which the decision was based. In other words, yung parang nakukulangan. It was, to put it bluntly, it was not a very well-written decision. Kung paano sinulat. Pero hindi naman sinasabi, mali yung finding niya. Na, that my conviction, my guilt was not proved beyond reasonable doubt. And therefore, I was acquitted together with my co-accused. So, hindi malinaw. And then yung sabi mo kanina, yung tanong mo kanina, Ed, na paano ito pag riniman, halimbawa, matina yung MR namin, and then hindi rin kami papaboran ng Supreme Court. For example, later, kung pupunta kami sa Supreme Court, so ibabalik ngayon sa RTC, ang malinaw para sa amin is that ang pinapagawa lang ng court is yung tungkol sa decision. Wala siyang sinasabi na magkakaroon ng retrial. Kasi hindi ho niya pwedeng gawin yan, na magkaroon ng retrial. Because definitely, that should be a clear violation of my right against double jeopardy. Yung right, the principle of double jeopardy. So, yun ang malinaw kapag mag-order ng retrial. Kasi nag-try na ako, dumaan na sa tamang proseso. There was presentation of prosecution's evidence, presentation of defense evidence. So, walang ano dyan. And saka yung tungkol doon sa malinaw kasi na kapag acquittal, hindi na dapat appealable. Yes, merong exceptions, pero very strict, very restrictive. It's a narrow enumeration, limited enumeration of exceptions. Ang mga exceptions? Well, if the trial was a sham trial, if there was a mistrial, and yung talagang grave abuse of discretion in exceptional circumstances. Hindi ito about an ordinary case, the usual case of grave abuse of discretion, kundi in exceptional circumstances. Now, definitely, walang sham trial. Dahil nga dumaan sa tamang proseso. Ang tagal nga nung hearings. Kasi nga marami silang pinisent. Meron din kaming mga pinisent. Lalong hindi ito mistrial. How can there be mistrial na wala namang naging diferensya doon sa proceedings? And then hindi rin na-violate yung right to due process ng state. Kasi by the way, there's also an example related to sham trial na kapag na-violate yung right to due process ng prosecution or ng state, then pwedeng hindi maging applicable yung double jeopardy. Now, yung grave abuse of discretion in exceptional circumstances. Walang exceptional circumstances which would ascribe grave abuse of discretion. How can you ascribe grave abuse of discretion to a not very well-written decision in the view of the Court of Appeals. We do not agree that it was not a well-written decision. Kasi review namin uli yung RTC decision, malinaw naman, maayos naman yung pagkakadispose ng kaso. So definitely walang job, hindi pwedeng i-violate or disregard the rule on double jeopardy. Ang ano na lang dito is, pwede ba yan na ipapabalik ang isang kaso doon sa judge para lang pasulatin uli? Isulat-sulatin niya uli yung decision. That is what essentially is being directed by the Court of Appeals.
Yeah. Attorney, that's what we learned, nga, that there are two parts to a court order. Number one is the opinion, which forms the reasoning, and number two is the dispositive version, dispositive part, which is the verdict part. So hindi na po pwedeng galawin yung verdict part. Is that correct?
Yes. Ano na kasi, acquittal yan eh. Acquittal is really final and unappealable. And wala nga kaming nakikita at wala naman sa discussion ng Court of Appeals na talagang umapasok ito sa exception. Ang sinasabi lang is may grave abuse of discretion dahil daw void yung judgment, dahil nga daw kulang-kulang. So, yung talagang natataka kami dyan sa decision na yan.
Pero attorney, yung petition ng OSG is for certiorari eh. Di ba voided lahat yun kapag ganon? Kapag pinagbigyan yon? Kaya ang interpretation ng iba, well, it will go back to the court and yun na nga, magre-retrial ka.
Yun talaga ang ginamit na ground, grave abuse of discretion. Yes. Now, but that is not supposed to be yung ginagawa pagdating sa nagkaroon na ng judgment on the merits. Now, here is the judgment of acquittal. Hindi na nga pwedeng i-appeal. Kaya hindi pwedeng i-appeal, kaya nakaisip ng certiorari. And again, yes, may certain exceptions. Pero sa tingin namin, and pinoint out na namin yan sa comment namin on the petition, na wala doon ni isa sa mga recognized exceptions to the rule doon sa double jeopardy ang pwedeng gamitin dito.
Anong next move nyo? Are you going to ask for clarification from the Court of Appeals kung ano exactly yung ruling nila? Ano bang pinagagawa nyo kamo? Pinaparetryan nyo ba ako? Ano bang balak nyo? Ano ba yung order na yun?
And actually, have you received the copy of the court order?
Yes, not yet. My lawyers have not yet received the official copy of the decision of the Court of Appeals. But we of course read yung kung ano yung na-post dun sa Court of Appeals website at kumalat na sa media. Actually, Ami, sa 5 o'clock, meron po kaming meeting. I'm now here at the law office of my lead counsel, and meron nakaset na meeting with the legal team precisely to discuss ano yung next move, ano yung next step. It could be that motion for clarification, or it could be motion for reconsideration. But we will still discuss. Kasi nga, talaga, nung doon sa group chat namin, nung lumabas yung decision na yan, talaga namang hindi na talaga namin maintindihan rin yung isa't isa. Ano ba ibig sabihin nito? And there have been comments already from lawyers and even from seasoned lawyers. They also find it perplexing. One called it confused and a confusing decision. And there's a it's fundamentally wrong, according to one retired justice. I saw his post. It's fundamentally wrong because they really cannot understand. Another retired justice, I saw also his comment, that how can grave abuse of discretion be ascribed to a decision which is claimed to be not well written? Hindi pa ata nangyari yan eh. Na gano'n.
Ma'am, but is there a precedent to this, yung tipong cases remanded to the previous court for rewriting the decision for better clarity?
As far as we know, wala po. My lawyers have been trying to research also and asked around from fellow practitioners kung nakakita na sila ng ganitong kaso. But this is unprecedented, actually.
Okay. Attorney, before we run out of time, I hope it's okay for me to pivot slightly to other topics kasi hindi pa po namin kayo nakakausap, and I wanted to ask you about the call that you got from House Speaker Martin Romualdez offering you to be one of the prosecutors of the impeachment case. I wonder if you could tell us more about that. How did that conversation go?
Okay, I just got a call the other day in the afternoon. What is today? Friday, Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, I got a call from the speaker himself. And first, he congratulated me. And then next is that, as you know, we're going to push through already with the impeachment trial. And you're one of those that we want to be part of the prosecution panel, along with Attorney Chel Jokno. So he also mentioned that. They're also considering Attorney Chel Jokno. And I think on that same day, Attorney Chel Jokno, through Akbayan, also accepted the offer. So I said yes, because actually, to be honest about it, I was kind of expecting it. Kasi before that call, in the morning or noon time of that day, meron akong mga nakausap na mga media. They were asking me if I'm willing or I'm inclined to be part of the prosecution panel kasi nga umakalat na daw yan since the day before. Yung pangalan daw namin ni Dean Chel ay kinakalat na nila na magiging ano. So I was already thinking about it, and hindi naman sa akin mahirap na magsabi ng affirmative answer. Talaga naman na kung makakatulong ako na para mas maging successful ang prosecution, why not? And I've always stood for, as I said in my statement, I always stood for truth, justice, and accountability. No mga past public positions ko, posts ko, since CHR, DOJ, Senator. So, hindi na sa akin, that's not something alien to me, to be part of a process that will seek the truth and that will seek accountability.
Okay. Ma'am?
Attorney, kahit ano namang kalabasan niyang kaso ngayon, tuloy-tuloy yung proclamation niya, sinabi na ng COMELEC eh. And since you mentioned already Speaker Martin Romualdez, sigurado na naman kayo na panalo na kayo, you will be a congresswoman. May nag-approach na ba sa inyo about sa possible leadership change in the 20th Congress sa House?
Wala pa po. Wala pa. Although I'm expecting, of course, magsimula na yan, di ba? Yung mga magiging challengers, for example, kay Speaker Martin Romualdez. So, maski yung mga haggling dyan about committee chairmanship and committee membership, I would be expecting that. We would be, kaming mga baguhan, we would be expecting that. And that's why I'll be needing the guidance of the party, the Liberal Party, and also of ML. And of course, yung aming mga kaalyado, sila Sen Kiko and Sen Bam. Kailangan pag-usapan namin ito with Sen Riza, with Akbayan. Kailangan medyo synchronized din at medyo pareho kami kung ano yung aming mga magiging mga pananaw tungkol dyan. Dapat synchronized talaga kami kasi kami ang expected na kami yung magtutulong-tulong. And we are, of course, magiging minority kami dyan. And definitely, special on our part, ML, we intend to be fiscalizers.
Okay. Ma'am, if you don't mind, I'll go back quickly dun sa CA case. I have to look at whether the dots connect din kasi. There are some reports, and I'm still trying to confirm this. There's some reports na si Judge Abraham Joseph Alcantara, anak daw ni General Anthony Alcantara, yung director ng PCTC, the Philippine Center for Transnational Crime, which is, and he was the one who gave the arrest warrant to President Duterte when he arrived from Hong Kong on the plane. That's one of the dots, or one of the dots that's being seen. The other one being si Eleuterio Batan ng Court of Appeals. Was May 2022 appointee, if you might say, the midnight appointee ni dating Pangulong Duterte. I'm just wondering lang if these elements have come to your attention and whether you see anything there.
I have not heard about the first information about the Judge Alcantara, who is the respondent judge, being the son of that head of that office. First time I'm hearing it. But yung tungkol to sa second one, that the appointee, the justice, the ponente of the decision is an appointee and parang midnight appointee dun sa judiciary. I've heard about that. Now, ayaw ko na munang isipin yung mga ganyan kung meron mga kinalaman yan. But the friends have been texting me about it, and then there's another member of that division na Brad daw sa fraternity nung former president. So friends have been texting me about those things. Pero sabi ko nga, tingnan muna natin yung tungkol nga sa desisyon. Ayaw ko na munang mag-ascribe ng other considerations or extra considerations for that, for what the Court of Appeals did.
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave that there for now because I understand you have a 5 p.m. meeting. Ito na nga, you're meeting with the lawyers. So hopefully we'll reach out again,
yes,
Attorney De Lima, for updates after that. Thank you so much for joining StoryCon today. That was Congresswoman-elect Laila De Lima.
Salamat din.
Thank you.
It's a Friday.
Wala masyado, it's a bit slow, ha?
Oh, slow day. Diba dyan? Si Amit, sama ng tao.
Marami pang mangyari ngayong weekend. Maraming mangyari ngayong weekend.
Did you know about the show of force, Ami?
Ngayon ko lang nalaman mukhang maraming movement over the weekend.
Oo nga baka magka-breaking news pa tayo over the weekend.
Ay, ganyan.
Oo nga
Magpapatay ako ng internet sa bahay.
But that's
kakalampagin nyo si Ed sa bahay.
Oo. Itong yung mga bigla-bigla ang meetings, usually something comes out of it So, di ba, based on experience. But I don't know, we'll see. It's a new Congress, 20th Congress na soon in about 2 weeks' time. So we'll see how that plays out. Maraming galawan at this point. Thank you so much for joining StoryCon today. Ami Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star.
And in spirit.
Ikaw talaga. Raise the flag for Ronald.
All the way from the Vatican with the Holy Spirit.
Join us again. Nagpapabindisyon daw siya. Join us again Monday, 4 p.m. for StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the StoryCon Group.